Hello, and my name is Vin Shembri, and I'm the president of Wowzer Technologies. I've always loved sports, especially track and field, and I've admired it for many, many, many years. And I had the opportunity back in 1998 to actually meet and train with Robert Esmie. Robert Esmie is the individual in the background there who was the lead leg on the Canadian 4x100 that won the gold medal in Atlanta. He's to my left. So I actually had asked Robert at the time when I met him, I said, hey, what would it take for a guy like me to come and watch you train? He goes, come train with me. So we did. So one early morning, I went and trained with Robert, and he told me at the time that he actually trained 6 days a week, 3 times a day. And I'm thinking like, wow, talk about commitment. And what we focused on was some basic fundamentals. He always talked about fundamentals with me. And you know what? And he also, not only did he talk fundamentals, he practiced fundamentals, but he slowed it down as well. And one of the things that he told me that morning, he says, you know my coach Mike, right? I said, yeah, of course, I know your coach Mike. And he says, today he told me to go this much faster. When I looked at his fingers, I go like, I can barely see that gap. And he says, you know why he wants me to go that much faster today? I said, no, why, Robert? He says, because that is the difference between 1st and 8th in a 100-meter race. Check that out again. That is it. So the difference between winning a gold medal and coming in 8th is measured in the gap. It's the smallest of differences. Can you imagine that in a 100-meter race? But what about paying attention to small details in the businesses that we run as well? Because that principle applies in anything and everything, including business, including track and field, including our lives as well. But not only that, he was training the mechanics as well. He would slow down. He would watch his hands rise. He would look in the mirror, and not only that, how and where the front part of his foot would grab hold of the ground as well, because his goal was also to take the least amount of steps so that therefore he would go the fastest. You know, again, they measure everything. In other words, think about our business. Do we measure everything as well? Do we measure all our numbers? Do we know what's important to us as well? Because he knew, and he knew how often he had to train as well. Not only that, but he told me on that morning that he would not even go downtown. He didn't want to get caught in traffic because he wanted to have a clear mind, because what happened is traffic jams for him was an issue. So he knew where he needed to be mentally. Do we know where we need to be mentally? Do we also take the time to know where our employees are and our people who work with us to know where they are mentally as well? Because if we do, then we create cohesiveness. And they also had a team effort. It was a unified team as well. He explained that to me as well. They all were in unison. You know, that's the only way you can win a 4x100 is all 4 have to be, hungry and going for the same thing, which is exactly what happened here. And therefore, they won the gold medal. Not only that, they beat the Americans. And that was the first time the Americans had actually been beaten in the final 4x100, where where they actually showed up. But then the other thing that he also taught me is that after he said, hey, Vince, why don't you come to my place, take a shower, and I'll make you breakfast. We did that. So I went to his place, nice guy, and I took a shower. He made me breakfast. And back in those days, he had photo albums of the Olympics, and he showed them to me. And there was pictures like the one that's behind me of all the 4. And the other thing that he said to me, he stopped at that moment and he said, Vince, you could be an Olympic gold medalist. And I go, Robert, I'm 37. How am I going to be an Olympic gold medalist? I know what exactly? Skeet shooting? He says, no. He says, do you know what an Olympic gold medalist is? I said, well, no, what, Robert? He says, the best in the world at what we do. He says, what if you become the best in the world at what you do, and you'll be an Olympic gold medalist? And you know what? That had a profound impact on me. Think about it, right? If I become the best at what I do, I'm basically an Olympic gold medalist in my environment. And not only that, it made me think about the people around me. Do I also take the time and the initiative to help them be the best that they are as well? What if we also had our organizations have that mentality as well? Would we become, a relay champion just like the Canadians were in 1996? I bet you that we would. Isn't it amazing that when we not only become the best at what we do, we give others the permission to also rise up as well? And that's what he was talking about, because they all rose to the occasion in that day, and they beat a formidable opponent that had never been beaten when they were in the final. Now, what would that be like in our organizations? You know, he even had on his head blast off. Like, he took it that serious that he shaved his head and he had the word blast off because he was known as blast off. And if you watch the race, he blasted out of the blocks. And I've taken the liberty of sharing that first minute of the race with you. So I hope you enjoy the race, and I hope that you blast off and that you think like a champion. And remember that the difference is this big between first and eighth. It's always in the details. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.
Canada in lane 6, the United States in lane 4. And they're off, and it's up to Robert Esmie to run the bend and make the clean exchange to Glenroy Gilbert, and he came flying out of the blocks. He did blast off. There goes Gilbert down the back straight. Gilbert is in a battle with Tim Hart, and now the third exchange, Marsh and Bruni Surin, and Bruni Surin has the lead. He's going to hand off in front, it would appear, to Donovan Bailey. A clean exchange, and Donovan Bailey is pouring it on. It's going to be double gold Canada. Oh, if you're Canadian, you have to love Saturday nights in Georgia. 37-69 for Donovan Bailey and the Canadian relay team, as Bailey and the other three members, Robert Esmie, Glenroy Gilbert, and Bruni Surin, will depart Atlanta with a gold medal. 37-69 their time, outside the Olympic and world record. But for this quartet, that is a Canadian record. What a